So where were we? We just finished.
Yeah, we just finished our top 5, our collective top 10 best games of 2016. I guess I can help contribute to this. I haven't prepared a list, but how about our top 10 worst games? Or most disappointing.
Yeah, because these aren't necessarily bad games. These are just games that, like, for me personally, that I had expectations and they were not met after I played them. What was my... I think my number 5 would have to be Mario & Luigi Paper Jam.
Okay.
Because this is a crossover of 2 of my favorite, like, Mario spin-off series. Mm-hmm. And it made terrible use of both licenses. Like, both game series have, like, really crazy stories, crazy characters, and just, like, these insane moments with some really great music. And this game had neither from, like, both series. It was just a really generic game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good, like, mechanically. The battle system was probably the best it's been in the Mario & Luigi games. Mm-hmm. And it had almost no tutorials. So I think they heard the feedback from Dream Team.
That's good.
But it was, like, just gameplay. Like, Goombas, and then you get paper Goombas, and then there were Koopas and paper Koopas.
So just the most generically Mario game.
Yes. It was the sticker star of the Mario and Luigi games.
I don't know if that really works with me as a description.
Anyone else? I think you're one of the few who really liked it.
But. Yeah, at some point I'll get to talking more about sticker star.
So, like, this may never happen again. Like, this is one of the coolest crossovers that they just completely ruined. Like, what if you had, like, Count Bleck and Fawful teaming up? Like, how amazing would that be?
That would be really cool.
And it'd be like this crazy story with characters from both universes, but instead it was just like Paper Bowser and normal Bowser.
Yeah. Or even like, what was it? Grodus in Thousand Year Door?
Yeah. Who wasn't truly the final boss, but I'm not going to ruin that for you.
I mean, I figured he probably wasn't.
Yeah, so just a big letdown for me. Mm-hmm. Just a really big letdown. Do you have any disappointing games?
I don't know if I can contribute to like a top 10.
I think you can contribute to the next one. My 4 is Miitomo, so... Which I've still played more than you.
Golly. I'm going to say it's Metroid Prime Federation Force.
Really?
Yeah.
I was actually surprised that it wasn't bad.
What do you mean? That it was like...
Like, I was... Like, as a game, that it was actually pretty good.
Oh, right.
That was a surprise to me more than... But I see where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm. As a disappointing game, absolutely. It was not the Metroid game that any of us wanted. And I mean, there are parts where you can almost convince yourself that you're playing a Prime game, but it feels too much like action puzzle.
Yeah, and I think I told you some of my biggest complaints with like waiting online for other people and having like missions that were so hard that they were impossible to play by yourself. So then you had to sit there because like didn't my file have like 40 hours in it or something?
I don't remember.
It was something like crazy high, and I only played the game for like 15. So
40 hours of waiting. That's bad. Because nobody wanted to play it.
Yeah.
So there needs to be...
Well, and it was like you chose a level that you wanted to play, and then you waited for other people to join.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like... If there were people playing it, which there were a few, they had to select your mission that you also wanted to play. So that was a big problem.
They could have handled that better. They could either have made it...
just add bots. I mean, it's really not... It's not complex. You just need someone... You need more firepower in that game. Did you have any more disappointing thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just Nintendo's whole attitude. Can we add as our collective third Nintendo's whole attitude towards Metroid this year has just been like almost non-existent.
It's really sad. I mean,
is
the 30th anniversary. And that's how Samus gets treated.
We get a My Nintendo theme for the 3DS that has
that same stock
music. If you could find that theme and just kind of like overlay it over this conversation,
that's happening now. That
would probably about sum up the. I think that would really tie it all together.
Yeah. So like when you think of like realistic, intense, almost horror-based space shooters, exploration games, this music that's playing right now. Does this remind you at all? Like, take a listen right now. Just bask in its waves of amazingness.
Oh, if I bask any harder, I might die.
It should be fading out right now.
It's not. I don't understand why unless they're gearing up for something. 2017, hopefully early 2017, maybe Switch.
Yeah, maybe we'll see From what I've heard, it seems like Retro is working on a new IP. That's what all the rumors are saying, and that seems about right given what they've been saying about Metroid. That it's like, I mean, their team is big enough now to be working on 2 different games. So I'm honestly thinking Retro has some game, which is going to be their like second Wii U game. Because they'd had one in development since like before Tropical Freeze came out, and it's never materialized. So I'm assuming it's a Switch game,
right? Because I mean, everyone's kind of jumping ship to develop for the Switch.
But my guess is that their first like full like Switch game developed like solely for the Nintendo Switch will be Metroid Prime 4. That's my prediction.
I really hope so because Metroid Prime Federation Force doesn't. I don't see any reason for it to be a Metroid Prime game. Like
I thought you're going to stop it at reason for it to be.
I don't. Well, okay, that. But also, I don't see why it had to be a Prime game. It doesn't. Other than for the fact that people really liked the Prime games.
Yeah, I mean, it really should have just been a new IP. Honestly.
Yeah.
I think they kind of worked the Metroid edge into it. Especially some of the levels, like I told you that one where you get out of your mech and you play as like a little chibi, like Federation trooper, and it's like a whole stealth level. Like that didn't feel at all like Metroid. It was fun, but that could have easily been some new franchise.
Yeah,
and I think it would have sold better because of like fans' spite for this game. Like made it sell terribly. So I think they honestly would have sold more units had this been like the start of a new like 4-player co-op shooter.
Yeah, I wonder like how much of this because it's very possible that this was going to be something else entirely, and then I think one thing Nintendo does is they come up with ideas, and then they try and see which games or which characters they have would best present those ideas.
Yeah, I feel like this was a misstep on their part.
Yeah, it's entirely likely that they had a rough estimate as to like when this would be coming out. Metroid's 30th anniversary. Okay, we got to do something for Metroid. We don't really have anything else. Or maybe
Well, don't forget Blast Ball.
Project Metroid X isn't going to be ready in time, so we'll release this to tide them over. And I don't think that worked out very well.
No, it really backfired on them.
Yeah,
and don't forget Blast Ball.
I haven't even touched it.
You downloaded it, right? It's like a free. It's a mode. It's the weirdest thing. It's a mode in Federation Force.
I still have it on my.
But it's also like a free to play download. Like the complete game mode is playable.
Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah, they called it a demo, but it's not.
Metroid Prime. It doesn't have any like.
I guess it doesn't say that.
Any uses remaining. An update is available for this title.
I don't know if any. I played like 3 matches online, and it was the most boring thing. It's like a generic shooter mixed with
soccer.
Well, I was going to say more like Rocket League, but not fun at all. So, I guess we'll make that our number 4. Throw Miitomo off of there because it was on your list, so it can't really be on.
No, I mean you can. I mean it was.
We'll make it 4.5.
Yeah, Miitomo. It's on my top 5, but it's also one of my most disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, what can I say? I haven't already said. It didn't really hold my interest in the way that I had hoped that it would.
Mm-hmm. I mean, because there's not a whole lot to do in it.
Yeah, it's a game that wasn't a game at all. There's just nothing. There was no. It was like Nintendo's trying to be Facebook, or no, more like Twitter.
Yeah. With Mii's.
Twitter with a face, and it didn't really pan out.
Mm-hmm. What, we're on 3 or yeah, we're on 3.
Let's just list how many disappointing games, as many as we can.
Okay, Twilight Princess HD. This. Like, I still remember that reveal trailer. Like, there was so much hype because we all knew this was a thing. Mm-hmm. Nintendo had been, like, intentionally not talking about it, and it, like, made everyone more excited. They released that, like, HD remaster of that Twilight Princess artwork of Link, and it looked incredible, and that's not even in the game. And then, like, they showed the reveal trailer, and they start with some GameCube and Wii footage, and then partway through you realize you've been watching the HD version. It's not the Wii and GameCube versions. That was the experience I had, and it was like a gut punch. I really thought like this was going to be a big remaster, like they did with Wind Waker.
Yeah,
and they upgraded some textures, but it looks more awkward now in some ways because like things still look low poly count with HD textures.
Yeah, I think there's a very particular image that I think I'll send it to you. You can maybe like show it on the screen here. But there's a picture of a cat. It's like 2 different versions of the cat, and there's vanilla, and you know it's kind of fuzzy, but it's a very clear picture. And then HD texture pack, and it's just like a bunch of repeated textures.
Is that real?
It looks.
What is this?
It's like comparing texture packs.
Oh, okay.
Like how you have the original. It looks kind of chunky, but like you know what you're looking at. And then there's HD, and it looks very awkward.
Yeah.
There are a lot of like very obviously looping textures. Things are kind of
very obvious.
Yes. You showed it to me when I came over one time, and like one of the things that stood out to me is that a lot of the texture, it just looks like they kind of took the paint bucket and filled with texture.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there's like a handful of models they went over, but I don't think Link was one of them. And his hat still like glitches through his sword all the time. Mm-hmm. They couldn't fix that. Like they didn't even try. I feel like they didn't even try with this game.
Yeah, it was kind of like a cash grab and an excuse to release the Wolf Link amiibo, which is cool. But it kind of sucks that they had to bring Twilight Princess as a casualty. Yeah,
I feel like it's even worse for you because like I got my favorite Zelda remastered in an incredible way, and then like you got your Zelda that kind of was half baked. I mean,
yeah, you mean Wind Waker?
Yeah,
yeah.
I was referring to Wind Waker. I guess you know that, but I don't think anyone else does.
Right. Yeah. Twilight Princess is absolutely hands down my number one game in the series. Just because it was so mysterious, so fresh and new when I first found out about it. Because I'd only ever seen the one trailer, and it didn't really give me like enough to go by. And then when I finally played it, I didn't know anything about it. So it was just such a wonderful experience, and it still stuck with me to this day. And I guess I was a little disappointed when I first saw the announcement. I was still excited that it was happening.
Yeah. Was it like genuine excitement, or was it like the excitement I got when I first saw Star Fox Zero, where it's like my mind is telling me, like my own fandom is telling me, like to be excited about it. But it was like as I thought about it more, it was disappointing.
Maybe it was like I was excited that it was happening, and I guess I was a little upset because I don't have a Wii U, and at the time I didn't really see myself being able to get one. I still really don't, at least not in the near future. But I guess I was a little disappointed mainly because the rumors I had heard were that Nintendo was going to be releasing it for the new 3DS.
Yeah, I'd heard that as well.
And I was really excited because that's my favorite game, and I feel like it would be perfect on a handheld, especially with the updated hardware. and it was kind of a letdown that it didn't come out that way.
Yeah, it might have had something to do with like the new 3DS exclusive Xenoblade Chronicles 3D not doing well.
Right, but that
I don't like Nintendo. The way Nintendo gauges sales and then like turns that into like their own future is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
we've talked about this before, but like they make a weird spin-off, it doesn't do well, and then they cancel. Like, well, that's I guess people don't like this series.
Mm-hmm. Or else they would just buy everything that we spit out. So yeah, it was definitely a letdown, and
it's still the best version of the game. I'm just going to throw that out there. Mm-hmm. It's not like vastly superior. It doesn't like if I were playing the GameCube or Wii version, it wouldn't make me go like, oh man, I wish I were playing this on Wii U. But it is the best version.
Right.
So,
but
still,
not.
It's not like. It's not the version that we were hoping for, or that it should have been.
Yeah.
Like this just feels lazy on Nintendo's part.
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of starting to beat a dead horse here, but I kind of want to just say this one last thing. Wind Waker was such. They put so much love into it. Like even if it was just like an updated lighting engine, they updated like so many of the mechanics. They gave you the sail that was faster and always had the wind at your back. Mm-hmm. They added, I think, a couple more dungeons. Maybe I think. Did they?
I don't think they did. They added a Wolf Link version of the Cave of Ordeals for Twilight Princess HD, but there wasn't any like actual new content. It was just like what was already there. Oh, they streamlined the Triforce quest.
Mm-hmm. That was another thing.
Yeah, so you just like it was just as simple as like getting the maps read and then you just find them. They're marked on your map. You just find them.
Yeah, instead of having to find like all 8 some pieces of the Triforce.
Yeah,
which was just annoying.
They streamlined it. If you haven't played the original, then you don't know what we're talking about. But it was not.
Thank
fun.
your lucky stars, you don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, like if I want someone to play Wind Waker, like I'm going to show them Wind Waker HD. Like there's no question about it. It almost feels like a new game.
Yeah, but if you wanted someone to play Twilight Princess,
it
would you
matter
show them
quite as much? I mean, if they had the option,
would you recommend the Wii U version, or would you say maybe have them play the GameCube version?
The GameCube version is actually really hard to find.
Yeah,
so
I wish I hadn't broken my copy.
Did you smash it against your forehead?
No, it wasn't quite. That was not quite how it went out.
That's an inside joke. Did we tell that on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. What were we saying?
Like if you had to introduce someone to Twilight Princess.
If they had access to a Wii U, I'd tell them to get the Wii U version, or more specifically, probably loan it to them because it's still pretty expensive. Mm-hmm. The Wii version's a lot easier to find and cheaper, so like you're not missing a whole lot.
No.
Moving on, because I think we've really run out of things to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon Go is my number 2.
Pokemon Go is my number 1.
Well, you know what my number 1's gonna be, but we're not there yet. So Pokemon Go is such a letdown. I feel like you and I guess, were some of the only people who like were really excited about this and were completely let down. Like I feel like almost everyone else like hadn't really been following it, so when it came out, they didn't know what to expect, and they kind of went with the bandwagon on that.
Yeah.
Like, I played it. I had a whole bunch of friends who played it. I was, like, one of the few that didn't. And I tried it a few times. I was like, this just isn't fun. It's not a game.
Yeah. Like, I mean, and I don't have that many opportunities to, like, get out and like, go find Pokemon. So I wasn't able to, like, really get into it.
Yeah. I mean, you found that Best Bulbasaur, but at work.
Yeah. I feel like that's a joke that would take way too much time to explain.
Yeah. Don't just trust us.
Okay. Anyway,
I might edit that out.
It turns out Best Bulbasaur looks a lot like a normal Pikachu
with a logo on his chest.
Yeah. Why Best Bulbasaur would you make it Pikachu the most iconic? Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. Pokemon Go is a dumpster fire. It's just awful. I mean, like, I don't know how... Everything I say about it is not going to be positive. Like, I love the idea of it, and it just could have been a Pokemon game on the go. Like, it was supposed to be a game that you paid for, and then it had, like, the features like trading and battling, and I would have easily paid, $5, $10 for that.
Yeah.
But instead...
Because you get like so much out of that, like just being able to play with everyone in the world,
I mean, think about
from your phone.
How many pictures would have been taken if you could like set up battles anywhere with the AR functionality? Like there's so many cool things you could do with that
they just didn't.
Yeah,
and probably won't.
Yeah, because like they promised that stuff. They said that was going to be in the game, and they didn't mention that it disappeared. It just wasn't there. Do you still have it on your phone?
No.
Yeah, there's evidence for it. Well, you got rid of Miitomo like 50
I still
times,
have Miitomo.
Okay, for now. It's safe for now.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah, so any other thoughts about
it's so upsetting because of what it could have been. And like I think I've said this before. I like that it's gotten a lot of people out.
Yeah, there's some really cool stories. I mean, there's some lame, like, really stupid people that do dumb things with it, but for the most part, like, there's a lot of good stories that I've heard.
It's just that for what we were expecting out of a mobile, like a smartphone Pokemon game, it was just such an enormous letdown, and such a confusing one as well. It's just really hard to understand why it came out the way that it did.
Yeah, and I think you put it best, that it feels like a fan game. It feels like a Pokemon, like, fan mobile game. Like, almost like a bootleg Pokemon mobile game.
Yeah. Pokemon Go away.
Yeah, I mean, like, server problems, too. It was, like, technically... Like, those first few weeks were hard to even get it to work.
Yeah.
And, like, you'd be at a Pokestop, and you'd been, like, spinning the icon, and it's like, hold on, it's, like, struggling to load that. Yeah, it was...
And the way that it didn't communicate any of its, like, mechanics, like, at all. It was just kind of like, oh, what do I guess I tap? Maybe I swipe? How do I fight?
Yeah.
Does my Pokemon have moves? No,
yeah, like,
it just...
Again, because like they didn't reveal any trailers for it too. Like we got that cinematic trailer that made it look way better than it was ever going to be. And then we got
that news report with like the really bad 3D Pokemon. that was probably the best thing that came out of it.
Yeah. And then it just appeared. Like they didn't even announce the release date. It's like it's coming in July, and then it just appeared mid-July. Like for the first couple days, no one knew it was there. There were only like a few thousand downloads, and then like everyone's just started figuring it out. And I don't know how many downloads does it hit.
I don't know. More than I think it should have, but
yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, it's out. It's kind of out of Nintendo's hands, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing like they really did was make the wristband thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Any final thoughts on Pokemon Go, or is there anything else?
I guess I just wish that this game was like Nintendo's, or I guess like the way they handled this just was not up to like the quality of Nintendo's other mobile games. And again, it wasn't like developed by Nintendo. It was like through the Pokemon Company and then like Niantic from there. Like it was kind of like a trickle down.
Yeah.
But
it was so weird. Like as soon as everyone found out that Nintendo barely had any hand in this, like their market share value just dropped.
It's not like that's like a secret or something. It's only been like Nintendo started the Pokemon Company to be its own thing back in the 90s.
But like as soon as everyone, I guess, suddenly realized,
it's like, wait, Nintendo doesn't really fully own this series, and then they just, I mean, Nintendo's stocks this year have been all over the place. So, number one, we all know where this is going.
Yeah.
Star Fox Zero.
Yeah, or as I have it on the list, Star Fox Letdown.
I can't even like describe to you how long I've been waiting, like, and hoping for a new Star Fox every year at E3. I'm just like, oh, new Star Fox, and finally, like, they kind of tease it at E3 2014, and then we finally get the full reveal, and it's pretty much the same Star Fox game we've been playing with really bad controls and no other features.
It's a soft reboot, so nothing new.
Mm-hmm. Which is like, that's Nintendo's comfort zone, apparently.
And worse controls. So they took the same game that we've been playing and made it worse. It looks nice, but it plays like garbage.
It doesn't look nice, though.
Well,
it's like a really ugly Wii U game, because it's like the same models that they've just upgraded the textures on. It's pretty much a remake, but...
I mean, if you had to compare like the texture update with, say, maybe Twilight Princess HD,
well,
would you
yes.
say that it compares
But,
more in favor?
But like, if you look at the enemy ship models, they're the same like really low poly models. Like the R-Wings look nice, the Wolfens look nice, but the enemies are still those like they're still made to be low poly count enough to get it to run with like multiple on screen. Like that was a technical issue why they looked so terrible back in the day. Like we now have an HD console capable of like way more processing power, and it still looks like that.
And if you thought that was unfair, that the R-Wings were like looked nice and high resolution and everything, well, they fixed that by giving you the option to play as a classic lowest poly.
Yeah,
R-Wing.
just in case that was like a terrible amiibo functionality.
Yeah.
Like that was not worth owning the Fox amiibo for.
That's the sort of thing that you would unlock after like maybe you clear the game on like hard
Yeah,
or something.
I guarantee that was a original unlock, and they just like, oh, we need amiibo functionality because we said it was going to be there, and then they just assigned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we've already said a few things about it, but I really don't like this game at all. Like, I have nothing good to say about it. The boss battles are infuriating. The controls are just not good. And it's not replayable. Like, the whole thing about Star Fox is, like, it's an arcade-style game. So replaying the levels again and again and going for a high score is the whole point of it.
Right.
And if everything is so slow, like...
If it's so bad that you wouldn't want to do it the first time, you're not going to want to, like, go back and try and get those high scores. You're just going to want to, like... If you make it through it at all, is like, the biggest challenge.
Yeah, like having the willpower to blast through it.
Now, I do have to ask: have you like completed it? Like, have you played it start to finish?
Yes, I have. And
is that only because you were like starved for any Star Fox game?
I was like, it was so short. Like, the game has less levels than Star Fox 64. Less levels. Like, just let that sink in. So it was just a really short game. So I was like, well, I got to get through it. You know, like, maybe it'll get a little better, maybe it'll get a little better. And I've been reading the reviews that said, like, the more you play it, the better you get at it. That never happened. That never happened for me.
Yeah.
I was just as bad on Andros as I was on Corneria.
Because the controls are, like, just awkward enough that you're always, like, you can never... The thing about, like, the originals was that the controls were tight enough, you could expertly, like maneuver the game like however you wanted, but with this, like the way they have everything laid out, and you can't like change the control scheme. Like like a lot of your moves, I think, depend on the other control stick.
Yeah,
and that like that can like throw things off. So like you have to like move the stick to the right to do bombs or something, and sometimes
boost is like up and like break is down,
right, and like sometimes you'll do that instead of like doing a bomb or something.
Oh yeah, because doing a loop is like pushing back on both. I think it's like some combination, like to do a loop and U-turn, and you end up doing the wrong thing almost every time. It's very inconsistent. And, like, on top of that, as I said before, like, the bosses are horrible. I think there's only, like, 2 that were tolerable, 2 or 3. And, like, the rest are just... like some of the worst bosses in any game I've ever played, and they're all in a collection that is Star Fox Zero.
So just overall, the worst.
Yeah, like
game.
if I made a top 10 worst bosses, there would be like half the list would be from Star Fox Zero, and I'm talking like every game I've ever played.
Dang.
You need to play that Andros fight. It's so bad. It's almost laughable.
Do you unlock Polygon Andros?
If only. You need to buy an amiibo for that.
Yeah, Polygon Andros amiibo.
Yep.
Which only has one functionality.
Making him look like a classic.
You unlock the monochrome color scheme in Smash Brothers.
Or just like do you remember that planned Virtual Boy Star Fox game? Like there's just an amiibo that like should just let you play in the game through the entire game in red and black.
Mm-hmm. Like only red and black.
Yeah.
Like no shades of either.
See, like the most fun mission in the game, I think, is the gyro wing, and it's also the slowest. So like it's the complete opposite of the fun, fast-paced arcade game that Star Fox should be. So like even when it's like trying to do something new and different, it slows down the arcade mode as a whole.
Yeah. Just all around not a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
A real bummer of a game.
10 years we waited for this.
10 years.
10 years.
Oh gosh. Well, I guess that's a good way to end the episode on a.
Well, I think I'll just split this into two. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 episodes is.
It'll be easier to edit that way too.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you haven't been with us quite as long.
Yeah, or maybe you waited and you just sat through the entire.
You put them in a playlist and then you just watched them both. Or maybe you just went back and rewatched all of our episodes.
Because you're because you like us.
Yeah.
Because you're a super cool fan. Reggie would do that. Reggie would do that for us.
Reggie, and wait, Chadtronic, you said was the other one then.
Yes. We need to get Bill and Nate. Bill and Nate.
Are there any other categories? Like, I wanted to do soundtrack real quick, because I know we both like music.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be your like top pick for soundtrack this year?
Only in games that released this year?
Yep.
Let me see. I guess out of everything that released, because I haven't played enough in Kirby to really hear all of the music in it.
Okay.
So I haven't listened to much of the soundtrack. Animal Crossing, I can't really say because it's the same soundtrack.
Yeah. Well, there's a new theme for the campsite.
Yeah, but I mean that's
it's not really.
It's comfy and it's nice. I like it. It's really got to be. The only ones that I've really listened to the soundtrack of are Monster Hunter and Miitomo. That's
true.
So,
well, there's that amazing, completely original Super Mario Run soundtrack.
It's new. It's original. It's got harmonicas now.
Yeah, that's new. They added a couple new tracks over the existing.
It's basically the same music we've heard for the past couple of years.
So is it Miitomo or Monster Hunter? Which is
my favorite? Oh, it's Miitomo, brother. It's Monster Hunter, hands down. It's such a good soundtrack. Like I feel like I could probably geek for hours and hours about like why I love specific tracks. But we've already talked for about 2, so. I think I'll probably we'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
But it's just it does a very good job of making you feel like you're part of the world.
Oh, definitely.
What about you?
Paper Mario Color Splash.
Yeah,
I really liked it. I didn't think I was going to, but it was much better than I expected. There were some really interesting themes. If you look up the any of the like Western themes, they have like these train-based levels, and it has like this, like really like country Western theme with harmonicas. I mean, it's not Mario, but in the sense that like it's Paper Mario music. Mm-hmm. So and that's really cool. Like, there's stuff I didn't expect to be hearing in a Paper Mario, in any Mario game. But.
Yeah, the only music I've heard from the game, honestly, I think is the battle theme, which,
it's so good,
which I love.
It's so good. It just gets like, I particularly love when you're about to die, and all the notes are played off key. It's the best thing. Like, the first time it happened, I just sat there, like, on my turn, just waiting, listening to it. Like, that's so great. And then it seamlessly, like, when you heal, it seamlessly brings it back up to the normal tempo.
Mm-hmm. Have you run into a situation where you only have hammers and it's a flying enemy?
No, that has not happened. Thank goodness. But I've been in pretty much every boss battle, I don't have the right thing or the right combination of things. Mm-hmm. So the boss battles are horrible in that game.
I think I might have sent you the video, but there was someone who they only had hammer attacks. They were fighting the bats. And there was no option to escape. It was like I think it was a scripted battle, so there was no option to escape. You ended up having to use every single hammer card.
Kamek comes through at random points in the game. It's actually not scripted. It seems random, at least. Like, you'll just engage an enemy, and then Kamek will fly by, and then mess with your cards. So, like, one time I had, like, Kamek put me down to, like, 5 cards that I could use, and didn't show me which ones. And it was, like, just the right amount to finish the battle. So, it's been close, but it's never...
Yeah. But I don't know. Something about that whole situation is funny. Just from like a technical standpoint, is like, how did they not think of this?
Yeah,
and
I mean, the whole game feels rushed, so
yeah,
it's not surprising to me, honestly.
But yeah, I'll give that a listen because I love the Sticker Star soundtrack, and from what I've heard of Color Splash. It feels less like, I guess, Sticker Star kind of has a sort of big band kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Kind of jazz, maybe not jazz, big band's closer to it.
Yeah.
From what I've heard of Color Splash, it sounds like they've kind of tossed some more modern instruments in there.
Yeah, there's more variety, too. Like, it's not just one theme. It's kind of all over the place, and I really like those kind of games. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it's handled properly.
Yeah.
And I feel they did a good job with this game.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to play it. We'll have to figure out how to do that at some point.
Yeah. Well, you got to finish Thousand Year Door, the far superior Paper Mario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gosh, I haven't played that in a while. I got to get on that. I've got a lot to work on.
Yeah, you do.
I've got a lot of like lengthy RPGs I need to finish.
Yeah, Fire Emblem's going to take you a while. I put a good 70 hours into that game.
Do you think I would be shorter if I had it set to where my characters will die, like forever?
Well, it's going to be harder. It's all like based on my playtime extensions with Birthright and Awakening. Were pretty much all building relationships. So, like, pairing multiple people on the field, and like again and again. Not so much grinding, to make my units more powerful, but more to like get those like cutscenes. Because then, like, once they have a kid, then you get a whole extra level and a new character. So
that's pretty cool. So yeah, I need to. Gosh, I got a lot of.
You got a lot of homework to do.
Yeah, a lot of JRPGs to study.
JRPGs.
I don't think I've said this on the show. Or I might have mentioned it. I'm making an RPG. One of the characters is kind of a tutorial character. It's called
go ahead.
It's called the JRPG horse.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And basically, he's there. He starts off the game. He asks the player if they're familiar with RPGs or if like basically a series of questions to determine how difficult the game's going to be. So I can set it up to where like enemies will have like certain types of enemies will appear or won't appear.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. So.
Just to, like, people who want to enjoy the game, but aren't that into RPGs, can easily enjoy the story. and those who want more of a challenge have that available. The main thing I want to go for is I want the game to feel like it. I don't know if this is something that we should be adding onto the podcast. But I basically want everything in the game to feel meaningful. I don't want there to be any padding. I want the player to want to do things.
That sounds really cool.
If they want to go grind some enemies, sure they can. But I don't want them to feel like they have to.
If this idea sounds interesting, support Charles' Patreon. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't have a Patreon. Mainly, I've thought about getting a Patreon. The main reason I don't have one is because I haven't worked on my game in months.
Yeah, you don't want to be the next Mighty Number 9.
No.
That would be the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah.
Neither of us played that, which is why it's not on our disappointments list. But
I was hoping to pick it up in the Steam sale, but we just haven't had the...
Hoping? Or just, sickly drawn to...
That's probably a better way of putting it, because I wasn't like, oh man, I really hope I can get Mighty Number 9. I guess I was kind of.
It's like you feel like you should.
I need to have the experience so that I can say I can rightly say yes, this was a bad game and I did not like it.
It really it was a huge thing industry wide. Mm-hmm. This hurt the industry.
It definitely it soured a lot of people's view. It kind of hurt a lot of people's trust.
Yeah.
Just a lot going on with the whole development process. The fact that they tried doing another Kickstarter for another game in the middle of working on.
They did?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
They were trying to do a Mega Man Legends.
Oh gosh. I know they were we're going to make an animated movie and a TV show. Mm-hmm. They said all this crazy stuff that just never happened because the game is not good.
And then you've got stuff like Shovel Knight and Yooka-Laylee, which just rocketed off the charts. Shovel Knight is still getting free DLC. Yooka-Laylee coming out next year. It's only been in development for 2-3 years.
Yeah, I guess at least
But it was funded within a day and a half.
Yeah, it was crazy. And Shenmue 3 was one of the other ones that I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
I through osmosis know kind of what it is.
Okay. That one I think also in 1 or 2 days was completely funded.
Yeah.
So anyways, we should probably end this.
Yeah. We're starting to just kind of ramble now. So thank you so much.
We can do off recording.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've had a good time listening to the podcast. Hope you've had a good time listening to Clover. She certainly likes to make herself heard. Maybe when she's a little older, she'll be able to voice more of her opinions with words.
It'll be interesting. She'll be able to go back and hear herself on the podcast.
Yeah, this is a history, kind of like an album.
Yeah. Hey, future Clover.
Hey, Clover. Guess what? I love you. You're the coolest. It's true. Anyway, it's been a year.
It has been a year.
Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for joining us. We hope to keep doing this well into next year.
I guess
longer.
Yeah, we're hoping to have more stuff up next year. Mm-hmm. It's just been kind of hard. There's been a lot of transitions for both of us. So,
if we ever get to make this full time, then we'll be able to afford to do more often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're hoping to also be able to do a mini video game movie podcast.
Yeah. I guess we should probably throw this out there. We kind of decided we're going to try to. We haven't figured out the timing, but we're going to try and every so often talk about a video game movie.
The goal is every month, but let's be honest, it's not going to happen every month.
Probably not every month, but every so often we're going to try and watch a video game movie and then meet up to talk about it. And I feel like that'll be a lot of fun. I'm really excited.
I am too, because like our big January one, we know we're going to do one next month.
Oh yeah, I think you all know what it is.
Yeah.
Should we even bother like not saying?
I mean, it's so obvious. It's just so obvious.
It's the movie.
The video game movie.
Yeah.
The first and the. I was going to say worst, but I don't.
I don't know if it's the worst.
I haven't seen enough to fully judge it.
Yeah, it's
enough other movies.
I don't think it's the worst, but we'll talk about that next time.
Yeah, we will.
So this has been QGP, since we're Quadratic's gaming podcast. We still haven't really come up with anything other than that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll relaunch it with a new name next year.
Yeah, I know you're still working on a logo, aren't you?
Yeah. I haven't had time to finish it off, but
I'll see if I can come up with some podcast titles. We'll be the podcast boys, the game bros.
I feel like these are taken.
Probably. We'll be dope boys.
And no one will know what our show's about.
Nope. It's just like a picture of like our faces, but there's no indication that we talk about anything anyone would want to listen to.
Yeah, it's just like the random tangent show.
Yeah. So yeah, this has been QGP. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully 2017 is a much better year than 2016.
Looks like it's going to be great.
It's starting off pretty strong, at least for video games.
Yeah.
I don't know so much about the rest of the world, but
we'll see.
The video games aren't reality, and that's part of the magic.
All right. I'm Zach Tussing.
I'm Charles Fillmore.
And this has been
QGP. Thanks for listening.